Russians. I'm 100%. Okay, there's three plausible options here. It's somebody who really hated the Donald Trump NASCAR video. That's possible. It could have been the Russians. It could have been Ron Nuremberg. I'm positive it's one of those three, but I think I'll just go home and watch Netflix tonight and forget about it. These things happen. It's a tech world. It's windy outside, but at least we get it right tonight, so that when we go do the show at Frollo's with Sarah and Trish DeBerry, we're not cutting out in the middle of DeBerry talking about
we don't
the
want to do
world
that.
and the issues that Sarah hit. But Sarah and I were just talking about, so we're back part two. Many apologies. We're sorry. This happens, technical problems. We are in a new home too, and then the weather's rough outside, so it's kind of a little crazy. But we back up completely? Yes. All right, so we were talking right before we dropped, and then we were talking right before it came back on. And I'm making sure I bring back up the feed here. Oh yeah, people are logging back on. That it has changed for you, and you've seen it change when it comes to journalism and around politics, sure. But what's changed most about it? I'm just curious.
I think
you're
it's
watching
just
it
hard
from afar
because
now.
you know when you see journalism and you saw the journalists in the 70s, 80s, and even in the earlier 90s, you know, they were the respected veteran journalists that were part of the newsrooms, you know, and they taught the younger journalists. But as you know, companies have cutbacks and staff cutbacks and salary cutbacks, you lose the experience in the newsrooms. You lose the veterans, the people that are kind of keeping the young people in line. So you have a lot of people who don't have enough guidance. And so we have a lot of really, really young people that could use a lot more veteran experience in the newsroom. Because this is a hard craft to learn. You know, this is not.
Well, it's not just to root around and finding a story. It ain't enough to be able to find the issue.
You can't just take what somebody gives you on a platter and spit that back out. You have to be able to ask the questions, the tough questions, and be able to figure out, well, what do I need to ask here? You know.
Yeah, because I think now more than ever, while people have, we talked with the president, probably amplified it more than anybody. I mean, he came out and he coined fake news. And I do believe some of these reporters don't do their homework, especially on a national level. And some of it is very vindictive. And I think you do see it's seeped down into the local level. Our politics and our journalism in San Antonio, I think you go back maybe about 5 or 8 years, and it started getting progressively worse. And a lot more biased and a lot more partisan. And I think that's why you see agencies like, and I always say it, the Express News failing horribly, because they've become they're more creating the news and picking sides, more so than they ever have in the past. And I remember reading, old man Roddy Stinson, right? Like, he would come in and...
I loved him. He was great. Was he was the Bulldog, right?
Yes, he was Paul, you mentioned Paul Venema.
Venema is wonderful,
Dan Cook on the sports side.
Jesse DeGollado.
These people that did the tough news. And there's people like that today that are still out there. We talked about that. Steve Spreester's one of them.
Fred Lozano,
Lozano.
He passed away,
Oh my God, Fred Lozano. Yeah, your boy now. And you've worked with all these folks.
Oh yeah, I remember being a Cub reporter and I saw Fred Lozano out on the scene and I'm just like, oh my God, that's Fred Lozano. And he was wearing a trench coat, so he looked like a really serious reporter. But it was neat to be a really young reporter and be close to these veterans that had been around the block. They knew what to ask. They knew, what to be curious about and what to doubt and where to go, where the story might be developing, what direction. And so, as a young person, you watch them and you learn from them. But a lot of the young people out on the street now, covering the street beat, don't have that veteran to kind of look forward, for.
And I think we suffer for it. And look, I'll trash the media. There's only a couple I really go after in town because I just think they are fake news. Like, I think what they're doing is putting their finger on the scale to push it in a particular direction. And it's so blatant in who they choose. But that's a few. But what we've lost over it is, I believe, is that exposure that's needed in politics. So what you get is people podcasting, or now people trying to do their own news sources, right? To bypass the broadcast journalists, to bypass the print media. Now they're starting their own podcast and saying whatever the hell they think. And people consider that news. I try to be as factual as I can, but it's still slanted. But I think if we don't have that, it's going to allow bad people to get elected. I do, because there has to be scrutiny for it.
I think
I accept that. I accept that.
Everything you see on the internet, read or watch, you have to just look at it with suspicion. You got to look at it and just be suspect of, what's the reasoning behind what they're telling me.
Yeah, prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, prove it.
Prove it.
Trust but verify, right? I think that's a huge old Ronald Reagan. Was that Ronald Reagan? Trust but verify. Salo, where's my proof? Where's my proof
Dictionary.
source? Where's my proof source? Okay,
You know what we used to call that? That's just funny. When I worked with Chris Maroo. We would say, we need to Maroogle that. Let's Maroogle that. Yeah, and he would
Chris
know the
Maroo,
answer.
too.
Yeah.
These are legendary names
Yeah.
in San Antonio, in journalism in San Antonio. Legendary names. Okay, you walked off. You took off. You said, I'm done, and then you took on a whole new path. You got to tell folks what you're up to now. Talk about the Spotlight. Talk about your personal health journey. And I want to make sure, because I studied a little bit before I met tonight with Sara, just in case I was going to look like a fool. I found a quote.
No.
I found a Lucero quote. My goal is to help people become the absolute best versions of themselves. So tell us what took you from, and look, you tell stories as a journalist. You're not telling most of the time stories about people at their best.
Right. No.
Most of the time it's stories of people in their worst moments, struggling in their tough times.
Right, yeah.
But then you flip that, and now you've become telling it. Tell us what that journey is.
I think what's hard in this community is that there is such a problem with health and obesity and diabetes, and coming from a family where diabetes really affected at least 8 of my family members. That's only on my father's side. So, to see the health problems they went through, my father was a big smoker. I had a lot of heavy smokers in my family, and I saw what it did to their health by smoking so many years. So I think I really tried to just be as healthy as I could, learn little by little, because I really didn't know when I was growing up to eat my vegetables. I didn't know about, what's healthy versus what's not. You just ate whatever you could afford. So, as I got older, I just, incorporated more and more health and fitness in my life, and it's actually what helped me to, maintain the energy and to always feel, like you had the energy to be, a full-time career woman, family woman, mother. So it gave me that extra energy to kind of hang in there, and for as long as I did.
This is like your second act, though, right?
It is, because I just, after my 4th kid and I couldn't get back in shape, I turned to bodybuilding. And why? Because those were the women that I thought looked fantastic in the gym. So I found out that, they work out a certain way, but they also had a specific nutrition. So I learned to eat the changes that I found in my diet that I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. I mean, I was making poor food choices. So I learned how to eat better and get in shape. And I'm like, you know what? I want to share this with people. I can't believe that I was able to change my body, transform it, and have, be in better shape at the age of 45 than I was at 22. Just because I was.
Do you have a Facebook page?
I do. It's the Sara Lucero. So you can find a lot of what I do at the Sara Lucero, and also Sara Lucero Fitness on Instagram for my fitness stuff. So I got into that, and so currently I kind of I'm taking a little bit of a break from the bodybuilding. I still lift weights because I love it. And I still kind of follow the nutrition because it keeps you at your best, and you feel better when you're not eating all that sugar and all of that fat. Like yesterday, I actually had a sangria margarita. I've been feeling sick up until the splurge, up until today when I finally was able to work it off and get it all out of my, I felt like it was out of my system. Oh,
wow.
So
that's dialed in.
But it's so weird, how foods affect you, and then but I'm taking a little bit of a break from that, and I've gotten into triathlons. I love endurance. I love marathons. That's what I've been doing forever, triathlons. And my goal 10 years ago was to do an Ironman, and I got a little bit busy with the kids. Number 3 and 4, they take up a lot of your time. So I took a break from that, but I started getting back into it last year, and I did my first Ironman in November.
Oh,
now
man.
I'm hooked. I know.
Okay.
I ended up developing, I have arthritis in my knees. I have old people problems, but I am so fascinated by just what you can train your body to do. I love working out. I'll work out all day, but I'm fascinated by it, and I'm hooked. I'm training for another one in 2021.
I'm fascinated by it.
I love it, yeah.
And I know Salo's feeling really bad about himself right now, as am I, because you said you did. Okay, first of all, you said you wanted to do an Ironman.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact you had 4 children, which in and amongst itself is probably at least worth 50 Ironmans. I would imagine.
Let's just say,
you have 4 babies. You've earned your Ironman, right?
Yeah.
Multiple times over. But then you went and did an actual Ironman
You
comp,
know,
which is
the thing is, like, you
20
train and
how-
train and train, but then when you're about to jump into the ocean, you're just
It's
like...
a 3-mile swim?
It's a 2.4 mile swim.
2.4 mile
But
swim.
I'm just thinking, oh my God, I have to swim for how long? You know, and you're just like, I don't, and so I'm panicking for the first like 1,000 meters, you know? And I'm trying to not panic, and I'm just kind of, I'm like, just keep it together, Sarah, just keep it together, just keep going. Finally, I got into a rhythm. I get out of the water, and I'm like, okay, everything hurts, my shoulders hurt, but fortunately I don't have to use them anymore. It's the legs. So I jump on the bike, and let me just fast forward to 112 miles later, okay? Because then it was an hour and 15 minutes in the water. I took about 15 minutes to change clothes and recover and eat a cookie. I got on the bike, and that was about 7 hours, you know, on the bike. I get off the bike, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm happy right now. I don't need to run a marathon. Why would I want to run a marathon now? This is crazy.
Salo feeling really
It's
bad
so
about
crazy.
himself.
Yeah.
I'll make you feel better about it later. We got Orange Theory ready to go, man. That water rower, we're gonna kill it for 10
Hey,
minutes.
I love Orange Theory.
Orange
I
Theory.
love the water rower.
We're totally propping Orange Theory tonight. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here, but I do
Okay.
want to talk about the Spotlight. So
Oh,
you're coming back into it a little bit.
I love, I miss TV.
Talk to us about it.
I left TV news. One of the reasons was because of the time commitments and the way it was changing. You know, they're cutting staff. You have to wear a lot more hats, spend a lot more time in the newsroom. So it was hard to kind of, spend the time I wanted to spend with my family. So I made the change. But I still miss it. I still love it. So I'm getting back into video. So I'm doing some live stream shows, The Spotlight with Sara. Also started The Spotlight Multimedia. So we do corporate videos, help with branding and marketing. Just fun stuff that I've kind of, been part of as, part of the TV station for a long time. But ultimately, I mean, I really like producing shows and hosting a show. So I like The Spotlight with Sara, so hopefully we'll do more of that.
You're going to do more? You're going to take it
I think,
a little further?
a little bit further, and I think I want to try to develop it into more of a fitness and lifestyle type of a show, or develop that type of a show.
Oh, that's great.
Whether it's online or on TV. So.
And there's people that were commenting up and down here that they love you, and they've seen your work, and one of the things that people forget is that, and it's changed over the years, and you mentioned that, there used to be, 30 years ago, right, that that newscaster was the trusted source, like that face, like it was so trusted, like you tuned in at 5:30 or 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and how your day went or what you thought of the world came from that newscaster.
Yeah.
I think you carry that for a lot of people.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, I
Thank
think you do,
you.
because, and you mentioned the other names, the Chris Maroos, the Fred Lozanos, and the folks that have come up in San Antonio. And as we move through our lives and we get older, we're laughing about it. Sara was at Robert E. Lee, not the original Robert E. Lee.
Right.
Sorry,
yeah.
Robert
Yeah,
E.
it's
Lee.
got a
Should
new
have
name
changed
now.
your name. But anyways, versus John, I was at John Jay at the same time. We both graduated in a year of a previous decade that will not be mentioned tonight. But you've come a long way in a career, and it's exciting to see you jumping back on a second act. And we are going to do this again with Frallo's, and I'm going to buy a ton of pizza.
Yes,
that is absolutely awesome pizza.
It is.
I'm seeing how it's going to be against
And
Big Lou's.
you know what? You know what we were going to order? We were going to order they have cauliflower gluten-free crust pizza.
I can eat that all
with
day.
pepperoni for anybody who's on keto. So that's what we were going to order for Trishna Berry, and since you do keto
I was
too,
on keto too.
Oh, you were on keto.
I was. Now I'm on.
Yeah.
Now I'm on. Well, I'm back on fatto again. So because I'm eating anything that's in sight. But I'm gonna start it back up again. But no, thank you. We wish you the best luck and success.
Yes,
and
thank you.
We'll catch it. We'll
And
do
you
it
too.
again. We'll bring it up in a couple of weeks or as soon as we can. We'll get Trish, and then we'll be back out with Sara in the Spotlight. The Facebook page is
Sara Lucero.
The Sara Lucero.
Yep.
And Instagram is
Sara Lucero Fitness.
Sara Lucero Fitness. I don't have a fitness Instagram or Facebook page because, I'm not physically fit yet. But I'm getting there. Salo and I have a plan to save our lives. Sara Lucero's killing it, has been doing it for decades in San Antonio. I don't want to throw that decade word out there, but that's the trusted news source. Follow her on the Spotlight. Figure out what's going on about our city. Go to the people you know and trust and make it happen, and we will get it done. Thank you for your time and energy this evening.
I love
appreciate
being here.
you
Yes, thank
very
you.
much.
Yes.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, technical difficulties aside, that worked out, except for the 10-minute break we took while we chased whoever cut our internet feed out in the back. But we went after him. We got him. We fixed it, and we're back. We're live. We're ready to go. So I'm going to knock a few things out. I'm going to bring my friend Juan Contreras up here in a second. He popped in on us, and I want to make sure we get him some good time as well. He's right. You know what? We're going to bring him up. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going to talk about what's happening. real quick, before we get into some election stuff, on deck this week at City Hall, there's not a lot happening. It's actually a pretty dead week, but tomorrow there is a B session, which the council meets to talk about future policy items. Tomorrow they're discussing Connect SA. It will be a staff presentation. We've talked about this. This is coming up for a public vote. Ron Nirenberg wants to take the sales tax dollars currently allocated to the Aquifer and Linear Creeks programs. He wants to reallocate those monies over to his transportation boondoggle, his billion-dollar plan over here called Connect SA, and they've got to go to a public vote with it in November. We are going to be prepared with the facts and real polling and other information to figure out where that goes. But if you're interested and you want to fall asleep or you have insomnia or problem sleeping, you can watch the B session tomorrow. Council members actually fall asleep during those presentations, but you can watch it tomorrow and learn a little bit about what's happening when it comes to Connect SA. On Thursdays, the main A session, the big show. Not much on that agenda, so I wouldn't be too concerned about showing up or popping in. But be advised, there is a meeting on Thursday, and zoning is coming up on Thursday at 2 o'clock p.m. But for tomorrow's big purposes, Connect SA, keep an eye out for it. Coronavirus and Nelson Wolff. I wanted to talk about this one. Do you have that one where you could put up the picture of Nelson Wolff? Wolff for coronavirus. So Nelson Wolff, we all know, look, they've been flying coronavirus, possible coronavirus infected persons, right? They were on a cruise ship. They were stranded out in the ocean, so they're American citizens on these boats. Well, they flew them into Lackland Air Force Base, federally mandated. They sent them to Lackland, and they're testing them. However, what they've been doing is there's one confirmed case of a COVID-19 or whatever, coronavirus. They took that person and moved him out to Methodist Hospital, but there are others that are continuing to come in that are potentially now quarantined at Lackland Air Force Base. And people are worried because they're sending them off base now to go be tested at different hospitals in the city. Well, Nelson Wolff stepped up to the plate, and people were kind of giving me a little grief because I was throwing the credit to Nelson Wolff. Hey, look, man, I'll give credit to where credit's due. That's okay. If it's Nelson Wolff, it's Nelson Wolff. But he sent a letter to Chip Roy and said, come on now, why are we transferring these people off base to go test them for coronavirus? Can we test them on base and to keep it more quarantined, right, better isolated? And man, you got to give the guy credit. People are concerned about this, and the mayor and his team and the council members over there patting each other on the back for a job well done, but Nelson Wolff at least going out there protecting the community. So he's saying why transfer him. Keep an eye. That's making the news. It should be on there tonight as well. And then we also want to talk about the Democrats in these primaries that are popping up. We're going to pay attention now to the election cycle over the next 2 weeks. It is going to be insane, right? The future of our country, wherever you stand politically, is happening over the next 2 weeks. And that's going to choose who's ultimately going to take on in the big show, right? The general election come November, the first Tuesday in November. That is going to be a game-changing watershed moment for our country. You can choose a path right now that we're on with Donald Trump, or you can take something completely different off the off-ramp with God knows who. Could be Bernie Sanders, could be Mike Bloomberg. It is going to be an amazing conversation, but the votes are ongoing. Early vote is happening now. And I want to make sure I bring on Juan Contreras. He's running for Precinct 1 in the constable position. He's challenging Ruben Tejeda, so we can get Juan on. He's been trying to pop on, but I wanted to get him on at the start of early vote here. So Juan, thank you for dropping in, brother. I know you took some time, man. We don't have a ton of time here, but I want to ask you a question, and I ask anybody who comes on to do this. Why in the hell are you running for public office? It's like the number one. People ask me that all the time. So talk to me, brother. Why are you why running for constable?
There's two main parts to that. So when I was, after I passed my 20 years with the sheriff's office, I had already sat and talked with my wife about what we were going to do. And I've always loved politics. I like the political beast, if you would say. And I was approached by actually some leadership in the Southside community. And they were asking, well, what are you going to do after the sheriff's office? And I told them I was interested in politics. And they said, well, have you ever tried or have you ever thought about running for a constable? And I said, no, I haven't. But why would you ask? And they pretty much said, we're just tired of the way things are going. We want change. We want fresh ideas. So I sat down with my wife, my boss, and I asked her, what do you think about this? And she said, yeah, go for it. I mean, she knows what the time would entail. And also, I wanted to pursue another career, and this was a perfect fit for me. Also,
are you loving it? Are you loving campaigning?
It's different.
What do you like? Okay, it's different. Why do you say that? It's an interesting word.
It's different because you know, when you're running for an association president spot or a union president
You
spot.
were president of the Deputy Sheriff's Association?
Right. You know, to me that's different because I can talk in front of cops all day long. I'm comfortable. That's my element. This is different because now you're speaking with the general public. You have to get to know their issues, their ideas, and you also get to actually meet people. And I enjoy that. I enjoy meeting people and talking with them one-on-one. So yeah, it is different. It's a very learning experience, which you know.
Yeah, I know, man. It is more than a learning experience. It's a medical procedure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, man, anybody who puts their name on a ballot deserves credit. You, my friend, are challenging, you would use the word an icon, right? A long-term incumbent, right? Somebody I mean, you could be a legend for many reasons, period, but this person has been elected for quite a long time. You're challenging Ruben Tejeda. So, man, you didn't just say, man, I think I'm going to get in a race because it's an open seat. No, you said you're going after you went after the biggest name in the game. So, how are you feeling about it? Give us in a couple of minutes. So, I only have a couple of minutes left, but give me a couple of minutes about what's your 1, 2, or 3 things you're looking for? Something you want to change. You're in a tough race. It's an incumbent, long-term incumbent. What is your game plan when you get that job and you get in there? Let the people know so they can hear it from you.
Well, I knew it was going to be a fight. I mean, the man's been around over 25 years. He's been around for a reason. You know, there is that name recognition. But like I've always told my wife, you know, if you're going to go big, you know, go big or go home. So, you know, might as well pick the fight that's going to give you a good challenge. One of the things I would love to do is get with the local police chiefs for the schools. I've already reached out to one. He's been very receptive about just maybe trying to help out with the schools. I know my wife, she works for transportation for one of the school districts, and she's always watching these cars that are passing up the buses that have the stop sign out. And as everybody knows, you're supposed to stop until the kids cross and then the stop sign goes in. I also want to repair whatever relationship that is lost with Commissioner's Court. I have a pretty decent relationship with most of the commissioners because of my tenure with the Deputy Sheriff's Association. I'm also able to agree to disagree with somebody. You know, you have to have that passion to do that because some people lose their temper. They take it personal.
Take it too far.
And you can't do that because if you do that, then you stop the organization from moving forward. And I'm all about the organization moving forward because if it doesn't, then you don't help anybody. So those are some of the things I really would like to do.
My brother, I mean, you ain't kidding when you said go big or go home, man. You just didn't say, man, I think I'm going to go buy me a 1,200 square foot house and get that loan from Aligned Mortgage.
Yeah.
No, you decided, that's threw a shameless plug out for where we're doing our podcast. So you can feel free to cut that one piece out. So you decided, man, I think I'm moving out to the Dominion. I'm buying the multi-million-dollar house with the what's that -G swimming pool or whatever, you know, the infinity pool. I'm going all in, man. I'm not just so you jumped in the deep end, brother. So mad credit for that. You put your name on the ballot. You've been the president of the Deputy Sheriff's Association. How many years do you have on the badge?
22 years as an investigator. I had 10 plus years.
22 years total, right? As a law enforcement officer in our town. You're running in the Democratic primary.
Yes.
Against Ruben Tejeda, so your decision will be made on March 3rd, that one way or the other. And I had to get you on tonight. He's been trying to make it on, but we canceled last week because, you know, of Salo, and then I had a nasty sinus infection too, so blame me. Also, unhealthy Greg. We couldn't get you on last week, and I'm glad you're able to drop in tonight.
Always good.
Take a look at the ballot. Find him. Do not be that person that refuses to go down to the bottom of the ballot and ignore the people who are voting. You know, some people go in there and vote one, and they'll just say president, senator, Congress, and punch out. And those are called undervotes. Everybody who doesn't get voted on, like you'll have 100,000 voters, and at the bottom of that ballot, and I've got them all right here, at the bottom of the ballot, there's some small races like precinct chairs and things like that people that don't get votes. And people are working hard up and down the entire ballot to earn a vote.
Right.
So go down, find out, go all the way down to Constable in a precinct 1, all the way down Constable precinct 1, look for it, make your choice. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Glad you made it in, man. And you had to wait for Sara Lucero, but that's okay, man. You had a good show. You got to watch the broadcast. All right, now we're going to get into some of these races here. I'm going to do some prognosticating. So voting is starting right now. Let me shut down the laptop right here. Here's where we're at, people. Today is the start of early vote. It runs through February 28th. Election day is March 3rd. Now, we're filming, for instance, tonight at Aligned Mortgage, right? It's a great facility. People here sell home loans. That's what they do. They put people in houses. They give them an opportunity to create the American dream, wealth and opportunity home ownership, right? That's what this mortgage company does. This is where we're filming here tonight. But guess what? The elected officials, the people in public office, affect people's opportunity to earn income, have a safe life, right? The military, our public safety, you go right down the line. The people we elect make decisions every day that affect you and your bottom line. Everything from how your kid walks to school in the morning, like Juan was talking about with a crossing guard, all the way to the amount of money you can afford on a mortgage payment. The government has got their finger in your business, so you have to figure out who you're going to select and vote for. And I don't care at this point, Republican or Democrat, you got to make the choices. You can go to Bexar County elections. This is it. These ballots are highlighted right here. You can't see it because it's kind of a little blurry, but it's right there. So when you check it out, it's listing out. You can get pre-prepared to go vote and learn a little bit about these candidates. There's some big races. I'm going to talk about them real quick. On the Dem side, obviously you got president coming up here. People were kind of upset because Julian Castro's still on the ballot. It's confusing, right? He's not in the race any longer. But look, when we look at that, you've got the president running, you've got District 20 in the House of Representatives. All your congressional seats are up for election right now because they get elected every 2 years they go. A big race right now, Wendy Davis in District 21 is probably going to end up winning that one, running against Chip Roy. Joaquin Castro's got an easy ride in District 20. Henry Cuellar and Jessica Cisneros are going at it down in District 28. Jessica Cisneros is funded, endorsed by the extreme liberal left, the progressive arm, Justice Democrat, and all these other groups, going up against who is arguably one of the best legislators in the nation in Henry Cuellar. So he's out there working with whoever he can to take care of border folks. But guess what? The Bernie Bros, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, they're all invading Texas with Jessica Cisneros trying to take out Henry Cuellar. Big time matchup. It's going to be settled on March 3rd. And in local politics in the Dem side, sheriff's race is up. So we've got Javier Salazar and Michelle Barrientos Vela going at it. Michelle joined us on show as well. Jose Trevino and Pete Lozano. That is going to be a race to watch. It's county-wide. Can Vela, who's currently got some problems, sure, right? The media's been after a lot of issues. Can she yank enough votes to push Javier into a runoff? We're going to see. It's going to be an important one. Over in Senate District 19, Xochitl Peña Rodriguez and Roland Gutierrez are going at it. The newspaper, we talked earlier with Sara about how the Express News is putting their thumb on elected offices right now. They're choosing and trying to create the news, not report it. They endorse Rodriguez against Roland Gutierrez, who has a long history of success in the State House. So we've got some problems in Senate District 19. And in Commissioner Precinct 3, we're up in there as well. But the big one to watch is Commissioner Precinct 2. We've got Justin Rodriguez and Keta Rodriguez going at it in that seat. Keta Rodriguez challenged Paul Elizondo before his death and came within a couple of hundred votes of beating an almost 40-year incumbent. Well, the seat was gifted to Justin Rodriguez as an appointment process by Commissioner's Court. Now he's trying to earn it on an election. Keta Rodriguez is a retired former Marine captain. You want to talk about a Latina. If you want to elect Latinas in our community and you want women in office, you're not going to find a better candidate than Keta Rodriguez, right? So if you can't elect that woman, I don't know what Latina can win a seat in San Antonio. She's highly qualified. Justin, well, we'll see. I don't know how that campaign's going to end up, but keep an eye on that one as well. It's going to say a lot about this city and this county, right, if Keta Rodriguez can't pull that sucker out. She was almost there in the past. And, of course, the county chair is up as well. And Constable in Precinct 2. We've got folks like Raymond Ford, who's been on the show, running in that one as well. So keep an eye on that. The Republican side, I'm willing to make a bet. I'm not going to go overboard here, but I think Donald Trump's going to win the Republican primary for president. I'm not certain. But John Cornyn in the state Senate. And then, of course, in District 20, we've got Mauro Garza running. He's joined us before, and we've talked with him in the past. Dominic Dina, Gary Allen, a few faces. Congressional District 20 is to challenge Joaquin Castro on the Republican side. And in District 23, a brewing race. You got to watch this one. Tony Gonzalez right now is being crowned as the perceived frontrunner. And there are a lot of other people in that race, 7 or 8 other names. Lieutenant Colonel Raul Reyes, Jeff McFarland, Sharon Breckenridge, and these folks are battling it out for the right to challenge on the Democratic side Gina Ortiz-Jones, who's most likely going to win that seat. She came within about 950 votes of taking out Will Hurd. That is a nationally watched race. Keep an eye on it. And on the Republican side, in the sheriff's race, Willie Ning, who's joined us on this show, is up against Gary Garcia and Jerry Rickoff, who has absolutely zero law enforcement experience, but he's running to be sheriff. Willie Ning, expect him to come out of that primary, but it's going to be a tough and hard-fought fight. And then we're looking at county tax assessor collector Stephen Pennington has joined us in the past. He's running. Michael Berlanga, we're trying to get him on as well as quickly as possible. And in Precinct 3, Trish DeBerry, who has joined us. Kenny Valespin has been on the show. We talked tonight about Trish and the things she's done. But Precinct 3 County Commissioner, it's going to be a big one to watch, kind of a bellwether race. Precinct 3 to replace Kevin Wolf. And then I'll leave it with this one, the county chair race for the Republican Party. So both parties are having like major meltdowns in their party chairs. It's like total chaos, man. It's like Hunger Games, right? So you've got on the Democratic side, Monica Alcantara. You've got Grace Rose Gonzalez challenging her, Norma Witherspoon. And then over on the Republican side, you've got Cynthia Brem, who the paper has made their personal target over the last couple of years. And you got Charlotte Williamson Eisenhower, John Austin, and Jacinto Martinez challenging for the right to run the party, an unpaid full-time job, right? These people are running for this, but that is a race to watch on the Republican side. Look, both parties can't seem to really get a good footing. A lot of infighting over the years, and they've kind of devolved. And Monica's taken it one way, Cynthia's taken it another, and it's going to be interesting to see where Republicans and Democrats, especially the challengers, take it here soon. So those are big races. BexarCountyElections.org. Download the ballot. Don't be afraid. I mean, here it is. I printed it. You can go to the library and get a copy of it. You don't have internet access? Go to the library. Go to a Starbucks with your phone. Stand by there and hop on the Wi-Fi. But get the information. Go down the list. Do a little homework. And for Pete's sakes, please go to the bottom of the ballot. Go all the way through it and vote. Find the name in every election and make a vote. People are working hard all the way down to precinct chairs for a chance to represent their community. They're putting their money, heart, and soul into it. The least we can do as voters, as citizens, is to go down the entire ballot and vote and choose somebody in as many races as humanly possible. So that's the show for tonight. We got a couple of memes we can knock out real quick. I fired Salo from the memes, so because he went a little dark. What do we got? We got some memes. Just give me a smorgasbord, a rando meme set. If you hold a fork up to the TV, you can imagine her behind bars. Oh, come on. The world is not kind to Nancy paper shredding, speech shredding Pelosi. I don't understand that one, but that is actually quite humorous. Good one. Next. You can't spell hero without her. You can't spell her without he. That's going to really upset my wife. I've been indicted, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it. Okay, this is Jussie Smollett. So we all know this man's story. Apparently he hired two, I think it was Nigerians, that's no joke, to beat him up in Chicago. It's negative 16-degree weather at 2 a.m. in the morning. And then he went online and said it was two MAGA hat-wearing people that beat the ever-living garbage out of him. And it turned out, after Nancy Pelosi and the entire liberal West Coast was screaming justice for Jussie, that he made the whole thing up. And if you haven't watched Netflix Dave Chappelle, you need to watch his set on Jussie Smollett. That's what he calls him. Juicy. Bye, Juicy. Next. What do we got? We got anything else? If you hate another person for having different political views than you do, trust me, you're the problem. That's so true. That is so true. Next. When you can't afford edible arrangements. I'm totally going to send that to my wife when she does something great. I think that's a taco shell on the left-hand side, one of them square taco shells. I think it is. Next. Teach kids to love dogs, and they'll never have enough money for drugs. That's absolutely. But the kid is wearing what appears to be an animal fur, so I don't get it. He makes stacks so she can relax. Look at that. Someone sent this to me and said, man, that's you right there, Greg, on the left-hand side. Rolling with some bills, but trying to work hard for his Princess Loca Ancholo Arturito. That was not one of you. Snuck that one in on me. Princess Loca. Darth Vato, Loco Skywalker, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Come on, man. That is absolutely fantastic. What do we got here? The most powerful governments on Earth can't keep a virus from spreading, but they say they can change the Earth's temperature if you pay more taxes. That is true. They cannot keep COVID-19 locked down at Lackland. They can't test them there, but they can cure global warming. Next. If gross pay and net pay were a person. Don't worry. To be politically correct, I think I have another gentleman on here. Is he there? There's another one. There should be another meme that's Chris Pratt. Oh, no. Okay, that's me right there. I was parked next to the Gomez Law Firm bus, and it says right next to his face, Gomez Law Firm fights. And he scared the ever-living garbage out of me because his face was that huge. I turned to the left, and I'm thinking, this guy wants to fight. He wants to fight. He really fights. Next. There it is. If gross pay and net pay were a person. That's Chris Pratt. So see, I'm multicultural in the meme. See? You can hit all sides. Insult all sides. That's what you got to be. Be an equal opportunity insulter, and just like that, Democrats hate NASCAR. Keto ice cube soup. Follow me for more recipes. You know what? That is the keto diet right there. Notice, and then the cubes melt, and it's not as crunchy anymore, so it really sucks. My brand new commercial flight kit. That's when you fly into San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base right there. You got to be wearing your poly apron. Anything else? Okay, Bernie Sanders, a millionaire that tells you how much money you should earn and get to keep, and tweets this from the comfort of one of his 3 homes. Hashtag income inequality. You know what? Oh, and I had to show this one. The poor Houston Astros are getting so much grief right now. It is like amplifying. The story's getting 10 times worse. And this picture sums up the Astros. Right here. It's perfect. Right? Perfect. Sign stealers, cheating. Almost as bad as the Democrats cheating to steal the election from Bernie Sanders. Poor guy. Poor Bernie bros. Is that it? All right. I think we're done. Hey, look. Big election coming up. Tomorrow night's going to be an interesting debate on the presidential side of the Democratic primary. Mike Bloomberg is on the stage tomorrow night. It's going to be an attack fest, I can tell you right now. The Democrats have a problem. They may very well end up nominating a misogynist, racist, sexist billionaire to take on President Trump. That's allegedly what they could be doing. If you're watching the news right now, they're eviscerating Michael Bloomberg for almost the same way they treated Donald Trump 5 years ago. They're doing the same thing to Bloomberg right now. So watch tomorrow night. Is it possible? Bloomberg is now second nationally in the polls. Is it possible that the Democrats will have to go to the Democrat version of Donald Trump to beat Donald Trump? Yes! It is going to be awesome, people. It is going to be awesome. This is the broadcast. We're thankful for you. It's going to be epic. Watch tomorrow night. We'll be back next week. Big thanks to Sara Lucero on what she tries to accomplish in joining us tonight. Sorry about the Frollo's miss. I will buy you pizza soon enough because there's nothing like a carb fest to get us rocking and rolling for the broadcast. Thank you for all you do. Like it, share it, tag it. Let's bring this back. Let's make sure we get out and vote and do the best we can for our community and our city. I don't care where you stand. Get out, make the vote, push the button, go all the way down, and let's do what's right for our city, our community, our state, and at this point, our nation. Thank you for everything you do. The broadcast is out.